I have to sit there and remind myself about what is important. And I also coach myself up and I tell myself, hey, I can make money at anything,
Yeah.
anything if I put enough effort into it. The work still needs doing, as I've heard Alex Hormozy say before. And I thought, I love this little catchphrase: the work still needs doing. All these ideas are fantastic, but if you don't put the activity, consistent, disciplined activity behind it, it will never produce results. And it needs time to produce results. You put a seed in the field, you water it, the sun hits it, it takes days and days and days before it starts sprouting and produces harvest that you can eat.
America's backbone was built on blue-collar business grit, grind, and muscle. This is where you stop working for the business, and the business starts working for you.
Blue Collar Millionaires, we are back again, and it's New Year, turning over. Everybody's focused. You're probably hearing this after we've turned into the new year in January, and we're all trying to figure out what we need to do, what we need to pivot, what we need to change. And you're probably digesting a bunch of content as well. I know for me, I've got podcasts, I've got audio books, I've got Facebook groups and forums, I've got two different big high level coaching groups that I'm a part of that has weekly calls. And then I'm talking to my entrepreneur friends and families over the phone and the internet and Zooms, and I'm hearing their ideas. And everything is a fantastic idea and strategies that work, but you cannot apply and implement all of them at once. So we want to talk about focus. Kevin, what is your first thoughts around that word?
And focus is a key to, I will say, a lot of my failures, a lot of my mediocrity when I was just kind of doing, maybe looking back, I thought I was doing well. When I look back, I should have been doing a lot more. And then it's been really the key to my success. Most entrepreneurs, it seems like, have ADHD. They're all over. They got lots of ideas. We all know this person. Maybe we are this person. I definitely was this person. I used to tell girlfriends all the different things I was going to do. And I remember one was calling me on it. Like, you're not going to do it. You got 14 things going on. You're only doing like two of those. We got to get focused on what we're actually going to do. There's a quote by Warren Buffett. I might jack it up, but he said, hey, write down on a list all the things, the 25 most important things you want to do before you die. And he says, now cross out 23 because you're only going to get great at two of these things.
Man,
That's kind of a sombering feeling, but you're not going to get great at 25. You can pull in partners and do stuff like Chris and I have done later when you get some capital, where we got a lot of things going on, but it's really not us. It's our operating partners. It's their focus. And Chris and I have talked about it for different businesses we have, being more focused on Blue Collar Millionaire and everything else. You got to figure out where's your focus going to be. It can't be all over the place. That's kind of a broad general thing that's worked for me. The way I made millions of dollars a year, net profit $1 million a year, was focusing 100% on gutters. If you talk to anybody from my life 12, 14, 10, even up to 3 or 4 years ago, they would say, what does Kevin focus on? They would in a second say, gutter cleaning. Like, this guy, that's what he thinks about, talks about. I used to drive down the road. I wouldn't even watch the road. I was looking at roofs. I had somebody like, please stop looking at roofs. Can you focus on the road? Like, I was so zeroed in on that, but I had massive success because of that. That's the broad stuff we got to get focused on. But Chris, let's talk about small stuff and how everybody's being hit with reels and advice. Buy businesses, niche your business, Facebook ads, do all this, and it becomes overwhelming. And I think it creates like analysis paralysis. You don't know what to do.
absolutely.
How do you move through that?
So I have to sit there and remind myself about what is important. And I also coach myself up and I tell myself, hey, I can make money at anything,
Yeah.
anything if I put enough effort into it. The work still needs doing, as I've heard Alex Hormozy say before. And I thought, I love this little catchphrase: the work still needs doing. All these ideas are fantastic, but if you don't put the activity, consistent, disciplined activity behind it, it will never produce results. And it needs time to produce results. You put a seed in the field, you water it, the sun hits it, it takes days and days and days before it starts sprouting and produces harvest that you can eat. It's the same thing in your business and all these ideas. So, what I do is I sit there, all of these ideas, I'm constantly listening to information. Like I don't turn it off. Now, there is some times where I feel too much of an overload. So I'll actually kick music on when I'm at the gym or driving down the road. But majority of the time, I've got new information coming in because I like to hear it. It keeps me motivated. But I would sit there and write down, here is what I'm focused on right now. Gino Wickman's got a really good book called Traction, and he talks about the entrepreneurial operating system. And the way he describes it is you take your rocks, and some are large rocks and some are small rocks. Your most important, biggest in your face, loudest pain, biggest needle mover, lever that you can pull to produce big results. That's your biggest rock. And you lay that big rock down as the foundation. And then once you've got it laid down and someone's executing on it, or you've achieved it, then you grab the next one. Multitask is, I've heard say, is a false truth. There's really no multitasking. You can only focus on one thing at a time. So decide what currently, if your schedule is lean, then focus on your marketing and your follow-up and your lead conversion. If your schedule is packed, then focus on your operations and your recruiting and your efficiency. If your cash flow is lean, but your schedule is full, then maybe you should be focusing on your pricing, your price book, and your accounts receivable and how quick you collect it. These are how you sit there and you look at your pain point and you say, okay, what fixes this pain that's screaming, keeping me stressful and keeping me from sleeping well at night? Because as soon as you eliminate that stress, now you're going to have better creative thoughts. But when you're focused on multiple things all at once and you're never completing one thing, the stress stays with you, and that stress kills creativity. And this is why you feel like a zombie. This is why you feel like you don't have any brilliant ideas. This is why you still sit in the mud, because you don't have clarity of thought.
Chris, that was great stuff. You know, one way to look at it too is you're going to keep getting hit with stuff. There's so much stuff out there that's not going to change. The phone, it's the radio, everybody's hitting you with stuff, and you're picking up on stuff because you're a business owner and you're thinking of growth. But there's more than one way to be really successful.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in my business, like I focused on like email marketing and cold calls. I had massive success, still do. Could I do that with other terms of marketing, SEO and stuff? Yeah, because I would have put my focus on that. So you don't have to be right all the time. If you're talented and you work hard and you focus on something, you're going to have really good results. Just like when people say, hey, should I go to college or no? To me, I didn't go to college. If I went to college, I still would have been a multimillionaire.
Yep.
If I didn't, I'm going to be a it doesn't matter. One might be an easier path, but this is just the same thing with marketing and your business. Pick something, make sure it makes sense, try to kill the deal. I'll tell you about that in a minute, and then run with it and go all out. This is what I do on deals. Let's say a number, I make $1.4 million a year net. Let's just say that's the number. Okay. That means I make $700 an hour. Okay. I can't do anything that makes less than that. Let's say I was running my business 40 hours a week. That's what I would be doing. So I can't tell you when I was growing Gutter King and I was making 300,000, 400,000, 800,000, $1 million net. We're talking about, not gross. I would have ideas and I would sit there on a night and I would like, I can make 120 grand off this. I would write it up and then I'd have to kill it because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter what your number is, or it doesn't matter if you're making $1 million. If you're making 50,000, you can't look at things that make you 10,000. It's a total waste. You got to stay focused on what gets it. So you got to have a process of, hey, when new information comes in, what am I listening to and what am I not? You got to kill things, and then you got to shoot it behind the shed and put it to rest and get back to what makes you money. Too many guys are all over the place. They're trying new things all the time. What's logical? What can you do that makes you money over and over again?
I want you to explain, because I think that was a very powerful statement of you knowing what your hourly rate is. Can you put that math behind it? Because you just sat there and you said 1.4 and you said
Take
700 per hour. How many hours?
whatever you make a year, you could divide it by 2.
So there's
So if you make
2,080 working hours in a year.
Yeah,
So it's 2,000.
I base it off 2,000 actually.
Yes.
50 weeks, 40 hours. If
Mhm.
you make 100 grand, you're worth 50 bucks an hour. If you make 500 grand, you're worth 250 bucks an hour. If you make a million, that's $500 an hour.
Yep.
Chris, even with the one board white calls, that's in my mind when I'm doing it. I say I'm hustling backwards here because I'm actually doing it too, and I'm going backwards. I like doing it though, right? You have to look at it. So when I was cutting grass, I was probably, when I had the landscaping business, I was making about 80, 90, 100 grand. This is a long time ago. And I would have all these ideas how to make $20 an hour. And I just was like, I can't do it. It's a waste of time. This is 30 years ago. So $20 an hour might seem like 45 now. And I'd say, well, maybe I'll do that on Saturday, or maybe I'll do that at nighttime, make more money. It just doesn't make sense. You got to really know how much your time is worth and then do those things more or leverage it with other people, or new opportunities have to be above that. So right now, I'm looking at opportunities like with the Marks to take equity in a roofing business that's already a $4 or $5 million business. We get in there with no money because we have a specific skill set and a talent together. And then how do we grow that? It's going to take time and effort to have a $20 million exit, because now I'm making a massive rip at the end. So if I look at that hourly, yeah, then it's worth it.
Yep.
But I can't sit there and say, hey, let me help this guy with his power washing business and grow him from 100 to 300. And I take a little rip and I make 60 grand.
I, to this day,
Right.
still sit there and make the statement, if when someone says, what's your biggest regret? My biggest regret is I didn't focus. I chased the shiny object. And there's still that part of me that I have to fight off, because as entrepreneurs, I think our biggest gift in the beginning as an entrepreneur is the ADHD. It makes us very resourceful and allows us to pivot very quickly so that we can move through all of the trials that happen in early stage business owners. But as you get more seasoned in business, it becomes a disability. It becomes a holdback, and focus is where the strength is at. The fact that you, Kevin, have been able to build a multi-million dollar gutter cleaning business, to me is the case study to say it doesn't matter what you do. If you put the correct system and plan behind it and focus, you can grow it to make millions in revenue and millions in profit. But most of us don't put enough focus on one avenue of income to ever figure out how to scale it into multiple states with multiple employees that are not even employees, with virtual assistants overseas that do nothing but market the complexes, the customers, and the sub that fulfill the jobs. Like you look at any other gutter cleaning, they're thinking, well, there's only so many houses in my market, and then I'd have to open up a new location somewhere. And then they're like, okay, I'll add roofing, I'll add lawn care, I'll add pressure washing, and the focus goes away. And this is why they never grew it to what you've been able to grow gutter cleaning to.
And the key for me, this is one thing I still do it. And I did it like every day, 7 days a week, 2012, 13, 14. I would sit there for just a half hour, pick one problem and solve it. So if your problem is, hey, I don't have enough quality guys to do that, that's when I started thinking about subs. And then you start, okay, maybe I can use subs, but how do I do that? They're logoed, and how do I find them? And like every day I was just solving these things. I would have my phone off. I wasn't looking at my phone and watching TV and have headphones on when I did it. I'm 100% in. Now, of course, sometimes you go 45 minutes or an hour. That was the focus of that. That's just what I was thinking about all day. I had no kids, and that's what I wanted to do. So I was growing it really rapidly. But the other thing is, I read a book. It's probably my favorite book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's all about picking one thing. What's the one thing that matters that's in front of me? What's the one thing, if you pull this lever, everything else gets easier? That book spoke to me and it really helped me focus. And one of the things they talk about in that is it's okay to let some of the things around you become a mess. Not your health, but maybe you slack on your house. Maybe you slack on some other things. Maybe it's, some relationships that aren't super important to you. And you get really zeroed in on what you're doing. And then as you start making a lot more money, because you're going to, and this is exactly what happened to me, then you have money to spend on those things. Relationships is a bad thing, but getting your lawn cut or anything else. Because once you figure out you're making, say, $150,000 a year, and that's $75 an hour, why are you cutting the lawn that might take you 3 hours? By the time you go cut it, go get dressed, take a shower, put gas in the thing, you're making $25 an hour.
Mhm.
Just pay the guy to do $40 an hour. And then when you take that time back, it's not like you're going to kill beers and drink, watch Netflix. You got to go get work done. Then you go do what your energy is. That's what I was doing. That's why I was working 16 hours a day. Other than the gym and a girlfriend, I didn't do anything else. I didn't wash dishes. I didn't clean my house. I didn't nothing. I outsourced everything and it allowed me to have massive growth. I mean, massive. That's how it happened.
So I would challenge everybody listening to this. Your current model, the one that's producing the most money, that has the most leads, if you got multiple things going, find one of whatever you currently have and then put focus behind it and
Yep.
figure out how to make it better. Don't think I need the plumbing business. I need the HVAC business. I need the roofing business. Like those are the hot businesses to have right now. Or I need a sub. If you don't have a subscription model like a pest control, I need to add subscription in. No, just look at what you've got right now and try to figure out how do you create more eyeballs to know that you offer that service and more help to allow you to fulfill the service that the eyeballs are looking at.
Great advice. How many times do we talk to someone and we say, I ask them all the time, what's the one thing that makes you the most money? Which service, what type of job, what type of customer, where you get them and you're like excited, like, yeah, I like these. I like these when I was landscaping, I like these little quarter-acre lots with big McMansions on them because they had less grass, they had more money, and there was lots of them. I used to clean up in there. I watched other landscapers cutting these big lawns with like little houses from the '60s on it,
Mhm.
and they weren't making much more money than me. I don't understand what they were thinking. You got to find out what works for you, and then I always say this: pour gasoline on it.
Yep.
Once you see it, get zeroed in on it. Who is that person? How do I let all of them know? And then how do I pour gasoline on this and blow that up? That will give you so much energy when you're getting all these jobs you like and it's by design. That's how I do it in every business. Chris, for our windshield business, you know exactly what type of customer job we want. It's not that we won't put a windshield on a Honda Civic. We don't want to target that. We have these trucking companies that run through over 1,000 windshields a year all over the country, and we're this national vendor for them. That's what we think about.
My powder coating company, I
Mhm.
know that I want thermal spray customers because my thermal spray customers, that is a great profit center. And it also will lead me into getting the coatings, the color coatings behind it as well. Like there is a service and you put your efforts.
So, do we do just the color coatings? Absolutely, but we don't put our effort to target those type customers. Our target is towards our thermal spray customers. So, don't repeat 2024 and look at what everybody else is having success at.
Create your success so that they're looking at you saying, oh man, I need to do what he's doing because look how much success he's having. And if you'll put enough effort in, you will be able to have the success that you hoped
Focus.
for. Focus is where it has to be. If you need accountability and you need a tribe that you can sit here and bounce your ideas off of the focus that you have, then go to bluecollarmillionaire.net and look for Boardroom Elite. We've got over 30 entrepreneurs in there currently to date right now, and they are operating at a level of success and they are pushing, and there's multiple levels, and there's probably somebody in the same exact industry that you're in inside of the group. And we have weekly calls where we strategize and we talk about exactly what's working in our current businesses. Me and Kevin are operators. We are business owners. We are not coaches. Yes, we do some coaching, but we are business owners first, and we share what's happening inside of our businesses and what's allowing us to have success. And then you get to hear the other 30 plus entrepreneurs share as well. So if you need that accountability, bluecollarmillionaire.net, and then look up Boardroom Elite and join, and let's really see you make the success that you want to make in 2025.
See you guys.